But we try to hit those topics. Young men, like what they doing, what's in their mindset right now. Young women,
Mhm.
what's in their mindset, what's going on right now. Marriages, what's happening, what's going on.
Yep.
Current events. I mean, we could talk about it all. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna say we always gonna be right, but we don't really give a shit. We got an opinion just like everybody else.
Getting married a lot less, and we're getting married
Later.
Later, yeah. So there was a stat that I found that said, for the first time ever, but people over the age of 30 haven't been married in higher numbers than ever before. So, yeah, marriage is getting later and later in people's lives. But I also found this really interesting graph, which I printed out, which shows that there seems to be an optimal time to get married.
Yes, I was just going to mention that.
This
that
is the
there's a
graph.
window.
So I'll put it up on the screen for anyone that's looking, and I'll put it in the description below. But it essentially shows that if you get married after 30, you're more likely to get divorced than if you got married between 25 and 30.
So it's almost like the more dating experiences that you have, some people would think counterintuitively, they would think, if I have more dating experience, then I'm going to be a better partner later on. But often, because those were not great dating experiences, sure, you might have learned something in them. But if you have too many of them, it's good to maybe have a relationship or two before you get married. But to have 5, it's harder, right? Because you have all this baggage that you're bringing in. And the other person who's also your age has all this baggage that they're bringing in.
And, but you still kind of at that 25, 30, that's optimum level, because it's like now this man done ran wild all through his 20s. He's probably ready to settle down a little bit. This girl done found her wild streak and got it over with. I can see where like at 27, 28, 26 maybe, y'all can be like, okay, let's do this. And it might work out a little bit better than, say, 22 or 32.
I got a question for you. Bro.
Or 35, I should say.
35? Okay. I got a question for you. Because I was thinking about this too. What's good? What's good, good people? What's happening? It's me, Steve-O, and my brother from another mother, CJ.
Good.
And we're about to link y'all up with another episode of The Good, The Bad, and The Game.
The game.
My man. So the topic we're about to talk about deals with, when's the best time to get married in order to have a successful marriage, I guess. Some of the stuff I know right off the break I'm gonna disagree with. But we gonna wind up checking out some of the deals. It can be looked upon certain ways, right? Some people want to grow up so that, or some people want to get started a little early. They have some kids. That way, they're still playing with their kids when the kids get a little older, right? And they're still able to do that, and they're probably about in their 40s, or 50s when the kids are growing up, right? Then some people feel like, damn the kids, it's my relationship. You know what I'm saying? I want to get married when I feel that I'm ready to get married. They don't have nothing to do with children and all that. And some choose to do it later on in life where they don't have to deal with any kids or anything like that. Or maybe they've already had their kids from previous relationship, and now they talking about, hey, it's just a matter of companionship and spending our lives together. I don't know. Go either way.
We got a film on it, but before we get into that, I just want to say, it's a very subjective topic. So nobody's going to be all wrong and nobody's going to be all right. But because there's always exceptions to the rule. But like some people say, some people don't mature fast enough to get married early. And then sometimes you get set in your ways when you get married late. So it just depends on the situation. But I think we should watch the film and take a look at what this young lady has to say about it, and then we'll come back and talk to you more about it.
All right, that'll work.
Getting married a lot less, and we're getting married later. Yeah. So there was a stat that I found that said, for the first time ever, but people over the age of 30 haven't been married in higher numbers than ever before. So, yeah, marriage is getting later and later in people's lives. But I also found this really interesting graph, which I printed out, which shows that there seems to be an optimal time to get married.
Yes, I was just going to mention that there's a window.
So I'll put it up on the screen for anyone that's looking, and I'll put it in the description below. But it essentially shows that if you get married after 30, you're more likely to get divorced than if you got married between 25 and 30.
Right. So there's a sweet spot. So if you get married too young, you're more likely to get divorced. Meaning if you get married sort of under 20, I think it's 22 or 23. But if you get married over, I think it's 28, you have more likelihood of getting divorced.
So the study, which I have in front of me by the Institute for Family Studies, says there is an optimum age to get married if you want to statistically avoid a chance of divorce. And it seems to be around ages 25 to 30-ish. Someone who marries at 25 is over 50% less likely to get divorced than someone who weds at age 20. Before the age of 32 or so, each additional year of age at marriage reduces the odds of divorce by 11%. However, after 32 years old, every year increases your chance of divorce by 5%. I couldn't figure out why.
Oh, I think there are several reasons for this. So first of all, I think it's sort of obvious about marrying too young, that you don't necessarily have the skills, you aren't really established in your own life, and you don't necessarily have the maturity to do what you need to do to be in that kind of relationship for the long term. You also don't really know who you are yet. And so you might think that you want a certain kind of life, and you find out your partner wants something very different. But once you get into your mid-20s and even sort of later 20s, it's an optimal time because you have a better sense of who you are, you know more of what you want, and you can grow together as a couple. And I think that's really important. You're going to have more shared experiences. You're going to know more of each other's families. Your parents are probably still alive on each side. You're going to get to know each other's siblings if you have siblings. You're going to be more integrated into each other's lives. As you get older, first of all, you're more sort of set in your ways. We talked about rigidity earlier. You're more rigid. You have different expectations. I think when you're younger, you're more flexible in terms of just being more open-minded. We get less open-minded generally as we get older around relationship, around the things that we expect. And we also have a history as we get older. So we have more negative experiences of maybe heartbreak, being broken up with, breaking up with people, relationships that didn't work out, that then inform the way we behave in our relationships. And I like to say it's almost like we're punishing our current partner for a crime they didn't commit. So if you were in a relationship before where maybe you were cheated on or someone didn't treat you well, then you are less trusting of the partner that you're with, or you're more on guard or more closed off because you're worried you're not going to get treated well. So it's almost like the more dating experiences that you have, some people would think counterintuitively, they would think, if I have more dating experience, then I'm going to be a better partner later on. But often because those were not great dating experiences, sure, you might have learned something in them. But if you have too many of them, it's good to maybe have a relationship or two before you get married. But to have 5, it's harder, right? Because you have all this baggage that you're bringing in, and the other person who's also your age has all this baggage that they're bringing in. And there might also be something, it's kind of like if a fight breaks out in every bar you're going to, maybe it's you, that maybe you are doing something in relationship, and that is why. It's not that you haven't been able to meet someone, it's that you've been pairing up with people in a way that is not really healthy. So, and you haven't spent the time to really figure it out. So you're just going to keep repeating and repeating those not great relationships. Even if you marry the person, it might not last because something has not been working in those last 5 relationships and you haven't figured that out yet.
Okay. You know what? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What she's talking about. We call that baggage. We call that bitterness. we call that, you know how it is when you be on guard in your next relationship. If she or if he starts acting in the least bit like the last one she was dealing with, you like, shit, oh hell no, y'all the same. I'm getting out of this. But
Yeah.
the lady that was speaking, I believe her name is Lori
Gottlieb.
Gottlieb,
Gottlieb.
Gottlieb,
Lori
Got
Gottlieb.
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 Okay, okay, you say it. Uh, she's a she's a psychotherapist. Uh, what she had to say was on point. A lot of the stuff that she was talking about there, when it comes down to relationships. Let's just be real, y'all. When it comes down to relationships, don't nobody got it figured out. You know what I'm saying? Nobody has it
I
figured
agree.
out. Um, well, we touched on it before. We're so unknowledgeable as far as um, how to deal with another person when it comes down to relationships. Um, you do you like? Don't get me wrong. You like the person. You love the person, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just that y'all have differences from time to time, and you just got to know some things are not worth blowing up about. But we do it. You know what I'm
It's a
saying? We
lot of
blow up
it's
about it. You know.
a lot
So
of working together. You got
yeah,
you good? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, no, no. You're right. No, I'm listening to you
Oh,
saying, yeah, you got a
it's,
lot of
it's,
work.
it's, it's a lot of working together, but for the purposes of this study, if you're too young, you feel like you're missing something. If you're too old, you're not going to tolerate a lot, like a lot of what you would have tolerated when you were too young. So it's like damned if you do, you damned if you don't. If you're right there in that middle cusp between 25 and 30, seems like a good year because you coming out of your little wild stage and you're going into your mature stage, and your frontal lobe or your frontal cortex is fully developed now and probably
You
not going to go
know,
through any drastic changes and stuff.
I like what she's saying. Um, but people, there's so many variables. For them to actually put this together and say like, hey, look, you're least likely to get divorced and look at it scientifically. And I'm like, it's too many variables because
I agree.
it doesn't just a person can turn around and be like, hey, sweetie, we're gonna go ahead and get married. At this particular time, there's a sweet spot, because I was listening to this, and we could go ahead and get married. More than likely, our joint gonna last for a while, or last a long, less likely to get divorced. And I'll be like, it's so many variables other than picking the age as far as whether your marriage is gonna last. You know what I'm saying? So I understand what she's saying, and I agree with a lot of the stuff that she's saying. I just think that there are more variables when it comes down to the learning process of marriage than what's being shown there. You know what I'm saying? Um, come on. I mean, we know that um, you guys are gonna have differences. I remember when I was in the service, and it was these young airmen and cute couple, and they were gonna go ahead and get married, right? And I was like, wow, you guys gonna go ahead and do it, huh? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. So I said, you guys really, really like each other and all that, right? And I said, how you guys handle your differences? And she said, we never argue. And I was like, okay, all right. You don't never argue. But I said, how do you handle your differences? I mean, like, because y'all not always going to agree. So I'm like, how do you handle that? No, no, no. We don't have that problem. We don't have them problems. And I was like, and I went like, yo, for the first time I felt old. I said, oh, child, child, okay, you're gonna learn a lot.
Gonna happen.
You're gonna learn a lot because to think that you're gonna go into this relationship and not have any differences, come on, man, that's
It's
unrealistic.
unrealistic. Unrealistic.
You know. So, but I'm just saying, you still got so much to consider. You know what I'm saying? And I honestly believe that until you actually become on one accord and say, hey, look, I'm in it for the long haul, and your partner says the same thing, I'm in it for the long haul, then I think when it comes down to differences sometimes, you don't have to, it's not a main ingredient to say, hey, yo, that's it, it's a wrap, it's over. Because you already said, y'all came to the agreement, yo, no matter what it is, it ain't gonna be that big in order for that to happen.
I think those type of conversations have to happen when you're young. You really literally have to discuss it. Hey, look, when we don't agree on something,
Because I
we
mean,
got to be able to sit down and talk about it like mature adults rather than to go for
you
each
can
other's
go,
throats.
you can go through some things. That's just how marriage is, yo. You're gonna go through a lot of stuff, man, and it's really gonna test you. It's really gonna test you. It's gonna be times when you're gonna be like, yo, you know what? Fuck this. I ain't gotta put up with this shit. You know, and you're gonna be like,
Boy, that
hey,
sounds
man,
awfully familiar.
you know, and you're gonna be thinking about it. You're gonna be thinking about it. And then you might even rationalize it, and you might turn around and you be like, can't do this, whatever, boy. Or you might even turn around and say to yourself, which I've heard some guys turn around and say, "Hey, man, I'm not trying to go through this whole shit all over again." And that right there lets me like, okay, yeah, you really put in a lot of time learning, and a lot of times it was difficult. You know what I'm saying? But you made it over that, and you had to deal with a lot of stuff to the point where you say, I ain't trying to deal with that no
Right.
more. So when it's over, it's
Mhm.
over. You know, and but then you also got to tell but you also got to say to yourself, I'm all right with being alone. I'm all right with that being alone. You know what I'm saying? You got to say that to yourself, because to turn around and try to start up again, you'd be like, ooh. And I wouldn't necessarily say that you would have to start up and do it again. I would just say that you could probably just go and get into another deal and just know that this is where you at in life right now. I don't know. You tell me, bro. I'm just going
I'll
off
tell
of
you,
what I
I
think.
agree with you, and I listen to you too because you've had great success. I haven't, but we won't go there. That's a story for another day. Um, but
I had
at
a
the
hold
same
on. I had a
time,
great success. You said.
you've had great success at
Oh,
maintaining.
okay. I'm
So
about to say, boy, you let my wife sit here and talk to you, boy. She'll tell you, boy, we don't, boy.
yeah, well,
What
I was
this
kind
is-
of immature when I got married, and you talk about running for the border when something go wrong. Shit, I was at the
Mm.
border probably on my wedding night. It's like I'm just kidding,
On a
but
wedding night, damn. Okay.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's a lot of give and take, and it's a lot of want to. Want to is the biggest thing. Because if you really want to be married to that person you with, y'all won't have any problem working on it. At the end of the day, you wouldn't have any problem working on it. You'll be able to understand your differences and be able to talk about it and
Hmm.
move on from the discrepancies or whatever the case may be.
Uh-huh.
But yeah,
But
there's a lot of other things that
for
go
this,
into it, like the. Hmm?
yeah, I'm
Go
sorry
ahead.
about that. But for
That's all right.
this, as far as the speaking points on what you were saying, um, again, I agree with a lot of the stuff that she's saying, but when it comes down to you saying that there's a sweet spot from when you should get married, I disagree.
Yeah, that's a rough
If I
one.
can, yeah, I disagree with that part of it. I agree with what she's saying as far as, hey, this is a good time, and all that. But I'm pretty sure the one thing that they got right is that they're not saying that this is guaranteed that you're going to have a long marriage. They're just saying statistically
Yeah,
that,
statistically, and
you
they
know.
there's no way they can give you something steadfast statistically other than the statistic itself,
Hmm.
because nobody knows all the little intricacies that happens in the marriage while you're young, And then while you might be a little older, accept that there is a consistency between 25 and 30 of a little bit more, maintaining a marriage longer. But there's also a consistency that on each side of that, your rate goes up dramatically of a divorce if you get married on either side of those numbers. So,
Okay, well let's look. Let's look at that. Let's look at that variable right there. You got to around that time frame. You know, what 25, 30. Um, you're pretty much probably just getting started with the career because you've had jobs, but you're probably just getting started with the career. You start thinking more along the lines like, hey, I wanna, I I wanna be a homeowner. You know what I'm saying? You start thinking about uh, um, financially setting yourself straight for the for the future in a way. Don't get me wrong, you still spending money and all that, but you're thinking a little bit more seriously as far as what you want in life and how you go about accomplishing that. All right. So then you wind up getting with somebody else that's thinking along them same lines, maybe. I could understand that. And maybe that's the reason. Maybe that's the reason why they're saying this is optimum because during this time frame, statistically, people are thinking this way. You know what I'm saying? And who they get with is thinking the same way. So I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
I got a tad bit of a different perspective,
Okay.
but I at the same time I do agree with you. My different perspective is this. Yeah, at 20, 19, 20 down to 25 or so, college age, we like to say that women are at their best, which they are, but the truth is men are at their best too in the way they look and their confidence as far as being able to pick up women and this, that, and the other. And when you're in the middle of that with a young mind, a young halfway developed, maybe a little more three-quarters developed mind, tendency is to, exploit it as much as you can. For most. Of course, there's exceptions to the rule.
Are you still saying that same time frame or are you saying earlier?
I'm saying
still
earlier.
saying that
I'm
same?
saying like
Oh,
from
okay,
20
earlier.
to
Okay.
20 to 25, you
Right.
feel like you are that person. And
Gotcha.
I don't even
Right.
want to say it's a woman or a man. You really feel good about yourself then because people noticing you and around people, you in college, you
True.
just got a lot of attention.
True.
And so
Plus, hold
some
up.
people get caught up
And
in
you
that.
and you're looking at later on. Now, college, I understand because that to me, that mentality is totally different. But later on, between the time frame that we're talking about, 25 and 30, you got to remember, kids. You start thinking about, hey, yo, men start thinking, hey, I want to extend the family name. You know what I'm saying? I want that son. You know what I'm saying? Girls are thinking sometimes, hey, I'm gonna have mine before my clock. You know what I'm saying? Before my clock goes out or whatever. Even though you got
Most.
women getting kids at a later age, but
Mhm.
that's the only thing I could think of. But I feel what you're saying, especially at the younger age, and you in college and you coming into your own. You
Yeah.
know,
So
that
you might be, it could be a gift or a curse. Well, you meet a person in college and you just, in your mind, know that that's the man for you or the woman for you for the rest of your life. The statistics show that that's not likely, but it does happen. But at the same time, like I'm saying, when you get on the other side of 25, okay, all right, I got to stop playing these games. I done ran wild, I done did whatever. I still
mm-hmm,
look good. I still look good
mm-hmm,
because I'm still in my 20s. But let me get serious now. Meanwhile, one thing you don't account for is that the desire for you as a woman slowly starts to diminish. The desire for a man increases. I know that's another topic for another day, but this
mm-hmm.
happens. And but you still kind of at that 25, 30, that's optimum level because it's like now this man done ran wild all through his 20s, he probably ready to settle down a little bit. This girl then found her wild streak and got it over with. I can see where like at 27, 28, 26 maybe, y'all can be like, okay, let's do this. And it might work out a little bit better than say 22 or 32.
I got a question for you. Bro.
Or 35, I should say.
35? Okay. I got a question for you. Because I was thinking about this too. Let me ask you this. I'm trying to figure out how I can say this. And I don't think would it be better or worse? I don't think anything like that. I'm just saying as far as what would be more appealing? Meeting somebody that can relate to how you grew up, things that you went through. Because I'm gonna tell you, like, you know how they always say, like, you go through some stuff. Yo, y'all like this now. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all both went through it. You feel what I'm saying?
As opposed to what? With no variables. As opposed
to just meeting somebody that grew up the way they grew up. That's the way it is. That's how they are, which is in no relation to how you grew up. You feel what I'm saying?
I think most people would answer it the same way I'm gonna answer it. I could be wrong, but they were probably considering no variables, no children, no other problems, no already marriage and divorces. They would be more attracted to what they know. That, in my opinion, because you're gonna feel a connection to that person because y'all can identify with so much already. But of course, there's a big exception to the rule too. You might not even want a person that grew up just like you because you already know what that's like, and you know that wasn't for you.
Well, depending on how it was, like if I grew up where, man, I was struggling. I mean, I was, in them streets, just doing all kinds of shit. And I say, yo, I do not want my kids growing up like this, right? Okay. And let's say I wind up meeting somebody, I could still say that I don't want my kids growing up like that. But if I wind up meeting somebody, I wouldn't want them I wouldn't want to share that type and say that we got that in common because, I was struggling real hard or anything like that. I wouldn't look for a person that had to struggle like that, even though they probably can relate more, in that case. But if I grew up more, I guess city-wise, and you deal with somebody that's more country-wise that didn't have to deal with, that type of bringing up. I always feel like there's going to be a contrast or basically a conflict a little bit because, they're not going to be able to relate to that, and you're not going to be able to relate to them. That's just my opinion. That's just what I think. Now, does that mean it ain't gonna work? I'm not saying that. I just say, depending on how open-minded you are,
But
how things are.
Think about this. If you know where you come from, and you know you was trying to get away from there in one way, it's like the crab in the barrel syndrome. You don't really want to be in a situation where y'all both think like crabs in a barrel, so to speak.
Yeah.
So you might be like looking for something totally different, might have a whole different view in your mind of how it's supposed to look, as opposed to how it could be. Now, if y'all had already developed something real strong while y'all struggle together and just have that connection, like
okay, yeah,
then it can be fire.
Right, because like when dudes fight, they say you'll never really know about. I'm just talking about professional boxing. You'll never really know a person until you fight, right? Got you. But you develop a little bond there because you both fought. Y'all went through the fire and all that kind of stuff. Same thing you in the military. Military, you go through some things. Some of your closest people that you're gonna have in your life are gonna be from the military if you
Yep.
were
For
in the
life.
military, because
Mhm.
y'all went through some things and y'all got a common thing that y'all could relate back on, and you're gonna have them for life. You're gonna have that family for life. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'm thinking that the same way sometimes in marriage. If y'all go through some stuff, y'all can relate and say like, "Yo, we went through this. We went through this, and here we are on the other side." I'm just saying. But anyway,
Mhm.
I mean, that was a pretty good one. That was a pretty good one. To kind of chop it up about. I'm pretty sure we could have
Very
went.
subjective, but yeah, it can
Yes,
go
yes,
on and on and on.
yes, no
Yep.
doubt. So I'm just gonna say that. Hey, if any of you guys have any opinions on this, just go on
And we're
ahead.
sure you do, because some of you
Right.
are married. So
Uh-huh.
talk to us. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah. Now hit the comments. Go on ahead and let us know what you think. You know, maybe there's some things that we just didn't talk about because we try not to, bend your ear so long, kind of like what we used to. So we're trying to get these things out and try to keep them within a certain time frame to pique your interest. I could see us really going on this one for even longer, but we try to keep it tight. So maybe there's something we just didn't take into consideration when we was talking about the variables. I don't know. We forgot. Maybe you might want to mention that. Just let us know in the comments and like and subscribe so that you can know when we got some next ones coming out. That way you could be alerted to. And let us know what kind of content you want to talk about or
There
you
you
want to
go.
hear, because we could go off on our opinion. Me, I love the sports. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
especially boxing. You know what I'm saying? I could.
Same
This
here.
could be a straight boxing show, but
Mm.
we try to hit those topics. Young men, like what they doing, what's in their mindset right now. Young women,
Mhm.
what's in their mindset, what's going on right now. Marriages, what's happening, what's going on.
Yep.
Current events. I mean, we could talk about it all. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna say we always gonna be right, but we don't really give a shit. We got an opinion just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So, but just let us know what's good and whatnot. You got any closing? Got any closing that you want to say, bro?
Just like he said, subscribe to us, listen to us, talk with us, comment, and yeah, give us some ideas. We're gonna get some consistency going with this, and it kind of starts with you guys. If we can get you guys entertained and we can get you guys to engage with us a little more, we'll keep coming. And the
Oh
more you
yeah,
come, the more we come, and we'll have fun with it.
no
So
doubt.
do you think? Yep.
So I want to say thank you all good people. Keep on checking with us. You rock with us. We rock with y'all. Tap in when you get a chance. You reached another one of the good, the bad, and the gang. My brother.
The game.